Welcome or welcome back. I'm Maggie Ostara. I'm a sovereignty mentor and a human design expert. And today I want to talk to you about truth, inconvenient truths, and all of the energy that is on our planet right now around truth. How can we know what to believe? How can we know what's true? Uranus is extremely active right now. Uranus is the god of awakening, a god of truth, a god of disruption and transformation. And so we are going through a lot of Uranian processes right now where truths are coming out, some of which nobody knew, some of which some people knew and other people didn't know. And so in this video today, I want to unpack how do we actually respond to what's going on out in the outer world and all of the different things that are being revealed. Not because I want to give you my point of view on the specifics of all of that, but more because I want to support you to try to understand what goes on in your nervous system and your physiology when you are faced with things that are unexpected and disruptive and potentially deeply anywhere from unsettling to terrifying. And so I want to help give you some support that you can use during this time yourself so that you can be more resourced and more resilient and more able to handle what's happening. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. Hello from the jungle of Costa Rica. I'm staying at a friend of mine's casita, which was done with natural building. You can see there are tree branches or tree trunks that were actually part of it. There's a lot of wood. Everything's wood. It's a beautiful natural build, and so that's where I am this time. And so you're getting to get a little peek at it. So we've been in a period of truths coming out and of great disruption for a while now, especially since Pluto entered Aquarius fully almost a year and a half ago now. Pluto and Aquarius really signaled this time of awakening into a deep sense of individual sovereignty in the sanctity of community aligned with cosmic consciousness. I get that phrase from Heather Unsworth, a wonderful astrologer and psychotherapist. And I use that a lot because I do feel that is accurate for what's going on at this time. And your Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, who I said is really like this god of transformation, of freedom, of truth, of awakening, of stripping away illusions, right? And so we're deep in this right now. And I like to remember Gloria Steinem once said, the famous saying of, the truth will set you free. She was like, yes, the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. So my guess is that quite a few of us are in that state where we are feeling a variety of different feelings, and pissed off might be one of them. I remember during the late 1970s and 1980s, where I was having my own kind of feminist awakening at that time, and we were doing consciousness raising in relation to gender roles and patriarchy. And it was so illuminating, but it was deeply disruptive and unsettling, but ultimately liberating. And with those angry feminists out there burning their bras, and I never burned my bra, but yeah, because that can happen, right? The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. So we're in the midst of just incredible seismic reckoning here on our planet, right? Having to do with inconvenient truths that are coming out. The Epstein files have now been released. Apparently, it's only about half of them. It's still an overwhelming number of documents. It's over 1 million documents, and there's many, many disclosures that are coming out through those documents that are creating a lot of deep destruction in many people's sense of normal, sense of safety, their belief systems, and your ability to trust what the outer world is actually showing you, right? And it's like when an earthquake comes and hits the foundation of your home, and if it's not too hard, it just shakes and everything's okay. But if it's stronger, right, it will shake, and then you will get cracks in your foundation and you'll get cracks in your wall. And if it's strong enough, the roof will come down. So you can kind of check for yourself, where are you on the level of intensity with what you're feeling right now, with what's coming out, right? Are you just shaking or has the roof fallen down? Because you want to have a sense of how much this is really disrupting you. And because you need to know that so you know what is the best way to take care of yourself, right? Not because you want to judge yourself or because you need to get it all together or anything like that, but because you need to be like, wow, be really clear with yourself about what you need. So I'm not going to speak specifically about what's in the files, as I said, but I'm more focused on what happens when you start to face things that are presented as truths, inconvenient truths in this case, then what happens in your body when you are faced with that kind of information, right? And how do we know what's true? How do we know if things are in the files are true or not? My guess is that probably some is and some isn't, and some is probably murky and confusing, like many things, right? I mean, truth is not so obvious a lot of times through these things. So, how do we know if even those things are true? I mean, there's plenty of people who are trying to discount it as true already right now, right? Because they're like, oh, no, no, that's way too disruptive to my belief system for me to allow that in as true. Whereas other people are holding it up and saying, I always knew this was true, but none of you would listen before. And now I'm vindicated. And there's everything in between. So, how do you know what's true, right? How are you going to know what you're going to want to pay attention to and what you're not going to want to pay attention to, right? Because probably a lot of things in there, like anything, are told in a biased way or told slanted. Okay. So I want to share with you today some things I think that can support you so that you can navigate this kind of chaotic and confusing and uncertain time, right? And I'm going to share a perspective about, like I said, what's happening inside of you so that you can learn how to partner with your nervous system. Okay. Partner with your nervous system so you can have more flexibility, more resilience, and more ease in your body. And I'm going to explain why this is so critical to do that kind of thing beyond simply just the relief that you get when you're not in that kind of heightened state of alert. So let's get some context here. In general, unexpected, unpredictable events in the outer world are very upsetting and depending on their intensity, threatening to your nervous system. The way your brain works is it relies on its record, which is always partial, okay? Its so-called record of the past to predict what's going to happen next. Okay, so it's constantly mining what's in your subconscious and then taking that and go, okay, this is what's going to happen next. This is what's going to happen next. This is what's going to happen next. And it does that largely by recreating this idea about what's going to happen next. It's not necessarily an accurate thing, it's just based on its interpretation of what happened in the past and its best prediction of what will happen next. Okay. But when your brain doesn't have a past that it can go into, that it can reference, that it can call upon, right, it will feel threatened in many ways that you may not even perceive. This is why the unknown and new things are often difficult for people to handle, right? Because your brain relies on that. We all know that that brain predictability is not working so well right now because we're in an unprecedented period of time as the collective. Of course, every one of us experiences this individually, but then collectively, we're also experiencing it. So there's many, many layers of the way that disruption is happening, right? And it's making all of us unsettled and it's making it challenging to navigate change. And it's a nervous system thing. So, the most important thing you can do right now is learn how to partner with your nervous system because you cannot talk yourself out of a trauma response, even a low level one. Okay. You cannot talk yourself out of it. And let's talk about about how this all happens. Okay. So, something in the outer world happens. It could be something in your inner world too, but let's just stick with the outer world for now, right? Okay. Something happens in the outer world. The files are released, things start showing up in the media, right? And then you start to see evidence of what's in them. And then what happens? What happens in your body? Do you tighten up? Do you hold your breath? Do you start to clench your jaw or narrow your eyes? Okay, these are all things that are normal responses to things that are really disruptive. We kind of go, like our body starts to get like, and so you can pay attention to that when you notice these little somatic cues. Do you want to scream, or do you want to collapse, or do you feel overwhelmed, or do you feel outraged? Do you feel angry? Do you feel incredibly sad? What is it that's going on inside of your body? These are all very understandable responses of your nervous system to information that it perceives as dangerous, right? To things that are dangerous. And there is this triggers a response for anywhere from, like I said, dismay, confusion, anxiety, all the way up to terror, right? All the way up to, taking really kind of crazy, violent actions, right? It can go along a big continuum. Because what happens is when that threat response get going, your frontal lobe actually is suppressed. And so your ability to analyze what's going on and to discern your distorted perception from what's actually happening becomes really, really reduced, really limited. In addition to that, your intuition gets cloudy because there are all these hormones that gets released when you perceive threat. And they're there to help you get out of actual danger, like running away out of a moving car, for example, or if somebody is chasing you, being able to get away from that, or if an animal is chasing you, right? It's designed for that. But we're not talking about a situation like that. Okay, so the more heightened your emotions are, the more distorted your perception is going to be. Okay, and this goes for, as I said, any emotion. So it could be one that you kind of feel is empowering, like outrage or righteousness or the desire for revenge when you see some kind of wrongdoing, right? And then when that happens, is you're stepping into the rescuer archetype of the trauma triangle. Now, I released a couple of different videos that has an explanation about the trauma triangle and how that works. And so I will put links to that down below so you can go and check that out if you choose. Um, but as soon as you drop into that trauma triangle, you're going to loop around between victim, perpetrator, and rescuer. Okay. So anytime those emotions get really heightened, it's going to distort. Okay. Whether that's fear, which is the victim goes into fear, whether it's anger, which could be the way we perpetrate because we are afraid. So then we perpetrate, or it could be like that outrage. Like I said, if we want to protect, right? We're going to, that protector mechanism. Um, but just know all of these distort our perception because if that survival brain is going, it actually heightens our perception of threat. And so we need to be able to move out of the trauma triangle and into more witness consciousness so that our frontal lobe becomes more online and we come to be able to perceive things more accurately. We need to be able to have our bodies get relaxed and have our intuition become more turned on and more accessible. And in order to do that, you have to be more regulated and resourced in your nervous system. When you're more regulated and resourced in your nervous system and your frontal lobe is online and your intuition is acceptable, then you can move into inspired action. Inspired action, inspired, right? Inspire, it means to be full of spirit, right? That's what that word means. Inspire is to be filled with spirit. So we take inspired action, action that is filled with spirit, not action that is filled with our survival brain's perception of threat and what we need to do in order to stay safe in an environment where we feel threatened. In a video I released last week, the one that was talking about the special window, which we're actually still in this special window, which is where Saturn and Neptune are in the gate 25, line 3, and they'll be here until the 23rd, I believe it is. And the name for that particular spot in the human design mandala is called adjusting, and it's acceptance of unexpected events with equanimity, right? Which is what witness consciousness is. Witness consciousness is the ability to be present to, have presence with things that are unexpected and potentially things that are deeply disruptive. and unsettling and even terrifying. Being able to actually stay in a state of presence with equanimity when this happens. It's a very high spiritual practice. Okay. This is not an easy thing. So if you feel challenged by it, so does everybody else. Okay. So what do we do? Okay. So I want to share a few things with you. So first of all, understand the survival brain does not respond to verbal reassurances. Okay. It won't listen to your rational brain trying to say, it's okay, it's fine, don't worry about it. It's actually okay. It won't listen to that because when you're in what's called limbic escape, which means your perceived threat has reached a certain level, that survival brain actually takes over and it will not listen to your frontal lobe. Okay. Your survival brain is in charge, and you need to know what to do in order to partner with it rather than trying to override it and dominate it, which is what we try to do most of the time. So there are three things I want to share with you today that you can do pretty much anywhere, anytime to help yourself move out of limbic escape and be able to get into a more regulated and more resourced state. So the very first one is touch. You may have noticed this, like if something upsetting happens and you're with a person that you really trust, and if you can hold hands with them, or if they can have their arm around you, or you can have your arms around each other, that immediately can help that animal body, if you will, right, start to regulate and relax. Touch is very helpful. Now, if you don't have a person like that around, you can also touch yourself. You can do something as simple as rubbing your own hands, rubbing your forearms. Okay. You can rub your face. There's actually the trigeminal nerve is right here. That can be very relaxing just to move around your face this way. Okay. You can also use a cloth. That's a really good way to do it, is to just use a cloth on your hands and then really focus on what does it feel like? What is the sensation? Because when you start to use your focus on the sensation of the touch, it helps move out of that limbic brain, right? Out of that survival, and starts to help you feel like, oh, this is my body. Okay, my body's safe right now. I can feel my body. Because what happens is when that threat gets too strong, we tend to dissociate also. We're not fully in our bodies. And so you want to get back into your body and you want to feel like, oh, my body is safe right now. Okay. So you can do that, like I said, this way. Okay. Or with your hands and your arms. With a cloth is even better. Also doing with a cloth on your feet. That can be super, super just restorative and helping you get in your body. The key is that you want to grab a hold of your attention and pay attention to the sensations. If you keep letting your mind go and go and go with all of its thought, you can completely ignore what you're doing. Okay, but this is also one of the reasons that things like tapping really work, right? Where you're tapping, which is also using a little bit of bone striking. This one, right? Right, a little bit of bone striking. So because again, you're touching the body, right? And it's helping this part of your body to turn back on again. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can take your palm and just put it on your forehead. And if you can, just do that with me for a second. You can close your eyes if you want to, and just really feel your palm on your forehead. Now, of course, your frontal lobe is right behind your skull. And so your hand, if you are, and this is my right hand, and so my right hand is sending energy right now. And I'm saying I'm sending calm, loving energy and awakening energy to my frontal lobe. This is calming for that. Yeah, see, I can feel the response in my body while doing this, just a sense of relaxation coming in. So you can do this for however long. Any of you who are moms, you know that when your kids aren't feeling well, what is the first thing you do? It's not just for a fever, right? It's also just because it's a calming thing for the kid as well as for you. Okay, so touching the body, right, with loving care. Second is breath. Now, there are many, many different forms of breath that you can use. One a really good one is a variation of long, deep breathing. So long, deep breathing, classic in the yoga traditions. And so it's a good one to do. The thing you want to do for this purpose is to have the exhale be longer than the inhale. And generally, like if you breathe in for 2 or 3 and breathe out for 8, that can help to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's one way to do it. Another thing to make it to bring it up another level, which is even more effective, is this if you breathe out through pursed lips, which is also known as straw breathing. So I'm going to do 3 breaths like that right now, and I invite you to do them with me if you're in a place where it's safe to do so. So I'm going to breathe in for 2, and then I'm going to breathe out through the mouth through 8 through pursed lips. Okay, here we go. Good. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale, and just pause and notice how you feel. Good. So I noticed a shift immediately just doing that for 3 breaths. And you can do this as long as you want. And it's a great way to just kind of shift yourself out of that really kind of alert state. You're still alert in the sense that you're awake, but you're not in a heightened, aroused state. That's a better than alert is aroused state where you're looking for a threat. Okay, so the inhale 2 with a long exhale through the straw breathing. Another one, which I've taught many times, so if you've been with me for a while, you may have seen, is just breathing in and out through the left nostril only. Good. And so that's a long, deep breath, but only through the left nostril. The left nostril, again, helps to turn on that parasympathetic nervous system. So those are 2 things that you can do pretty much anywhere. Now, the other thing is more just a practice in what in the neurosomatic intelligence work that I've recently been certified in, which is partly what I'm sharing this from, and it's also coming from my background just as an embodiment expert. And I've done movement practices and breath practices for so many years, so many different ways I've done this. But in the NSI work, it's called interoception. So it's the ability to tune in on the inside. And this is something, again, I've also taught for years, but there's a way that I've come to understand its significance even more because of the NSI work. So, what we want to be able to do is just go inside and perceive our bodies from the inside. Now, I will say for some people, if you have a history of trauma, especially if you have a history of physical abuse or sexual abuse, it can feel threatening to close your eyes and go inside the body. Okay. So if that's true for you, you can just kind of keep your eyes lidded, just kind of like this. So your eyes aren't completely closed. But what you want to do is turn off so much of the visual stimulation that's coming in through your eyes, because you wouldn't even believe the amount of data that's coming in through your eyes that your brain has to process in fractions of a second. I mean, it's like billions of bits of information. So when we close the eyes, it helps tune that off. And then the inner sense or the inner eye, the inner felt sense starts to wake up. And when you do that, it helps you be more in your body and helps you know what's going on in here. And that, again, will help to calm you down, help you become more regulated and more relaxed, and ultimately to be more restored. So I'm going to talk us through this again. Don't do this if you're driving, you may if you're at work or something. But if you're in a place where it's safe to do so, I invite you to come along. We're just going to do a very brief presence practice inside the body. Okay, so I'm going to do first is just rub my hands together, close my eyes, and feel my hands a little bit. I'm going to feel the friction that's growing between my hands. Nice big breath, and then exhale a couple more. And then go ahead and take your hands and place them on your body anywhere that would feel good to you. My hands went to my heart and my belly. You might want to put them on your head or your neck or your shoulders or your hips, wherever feels good to you. So first thing is just breathing, bringing your awareness inside and seeing if you can feel with your body what it feels like to have your hands touching you. So rather than feeling your hands touching your body, seeing if you can notice your body being touched by your hands, bringing your perception into. So I'm feeling into my chest right under my hands. I'm feeling into my belly right under my hands. You could move your hands a little bit if that helps you to feel that. So again, opening up your inner perception. Okay. And then let's take a nice big breath in and exhale. And so let's do a few more together and then see if you can notice how your ribs expand and your legs expand. Your diaphragm moves downward into your pelvis, and the back of your body even expands a little bit as you breathe. Here we go. Big breath in and gently exhale. Feel the body deflate and breathing in, inflate. Inflate. Two more. And breathing in, diaphragm goes down. And exhale. Everything comes in towards the middle line. And one more. Then deflate. Good. And then just normal breathing and notice your perception of your body now. Are you a little more aware of your torso? A little more aware? Maybe can you feel your heartbeat? You might even have a sense of digestion happening. Noticing the gentle, gentle rise and fall of your belly and your chest as you breathe. Seeing if you can bring your awareness down into the center of your chest, wherever your hands are, right into your heart. Tuning into the flame in the center of your being. And just know that this flame, I like to call it your soul fire, right in the center of your heart chakra, the center of your G center, is a place of dynamic power, of resource, infinite intelligence, and wisdom. And when you can soften the survival brain through touch and breathing and presence, you can tap into your own inner wisdom here, which will tell you what is true. So rather than relying on maybe the mechanisms that you've used in the past to discern what's true, more and more we're being called to this very place within this place of soul fire, where we can each receive our own accurate perceptions and also our inspired action. Take another breath or two. Feel your body. See if you can trace an outline of your body from the inside. Notice if there's parts of your body you can feel and other parts that are really blank or empty. It's okay. We all have that. Good. And then let's rub our hands together again and flutter your eyes open. And then let's just shake out. Shake your body, shake your arms, shake your hands. All right. So those are a few little practices that you can do to help you move out of that more threat response. Come into your body, really help your animal body to calm down. If you have small children or if you have a cat, especially cats, but dogs too, they get startled. They get, right? What do you do to calm them down? You're doing the same thing for your body. You're helping it just calm down and be like, it's okay. The frontal lobe comes on again. Let's just do this to close. We're turning on our frontal lobes. We're saying, okay, I can think, I can intuit, I can receive my body wisdom. I can receive the instructions from my own soul fire in the center of my heart. All right, my friends, this is a very, very dynamic and potent time, and you want to be as resourced as you possibly can so that you can make the very best decisions and then take the very best actions that are right for you. If you enjoyed these practices today, I am creating a short program to introduce you to the work of neurosomatic intelligence that will give you the framework and the context to really understand what's going on. I gave you a little bit today. I find it super helpful, and then some of the practices that you can do and sort of what the method is so that you can begin to take more of this on for yourself. And my intention in doing this, and really the intention for neurosomatic intelligence in general, is that each individual becomes empowered to be able to partner with their own nervous system so that you know what your body needs. You can partner with your body. Everybody's different. You can learn, and then you will know how to do this for yourself. So if that interests you, I will put the link to join the wait list. So the program isn't ready yet. Registration won't be open until March, but I will put the registration up. But I will put the registration for the wait list at the end of the video and down in the description. So you can just let me know that that's something that you want to know about. And then when registration opens in March, I will let you know. Okay. I just feel so inspired, really, to be bringing this work out. I think we really, really need it at this time. It's a wonderful partner with, intentional creativity, with human design, with feminine sovereignty, and all of the different other sort of themes that I work with. And then having this ability to truly partner with our nervous system is a wonderful addition and complement. And I'm very excited about the results that people have been getting. So I hope you'll check it out if you're interested in it. All right, my friends, take really good care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to other people. Give other people, a break. The energy is so intense right now. But also remember, set your intention. We're entering the new era. So you want to do that from as resourced a state as you possibly can. My heart is with you, and I'll be back with another video very soon. All right, my friends, many, many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.